Hello, I wanted to take you from zero to fast forward with how to use Twitter. Now, this is a basic introduction. I'm going to assume you know how to actually just basically create your account. You give an email address, you create a username, and you go to your email address and you verify your account. But there's a couple of things we should talk about for specifically for activists. One thing you may want to do is what I'm noticing is some activists, especially if they're in um, kind of sensitive work environments, they're choosing usernames that don't actually say what their real name in real life is. And here, you can go over to this guy's account. So most of the time, you'll see somebody's real first name here, and then the name of the account. And then for social media, say if you're a small business, an entrepreneur, you're a painter, you're a plumber, you're a store owner, a dog groomer, whatever, you want to make sure that this in here is a photo, a nice smiling photo of you. Close up, that's good. That's what the majority of people over here are following. So you're more likely to get a real human follower if you're trying to reach real humans with a picture of a face, of your face. But if you want to be an activist, there's a little bit of muckraking in as well. You're going to encounter people who are known as trolls, just uh, people who hold the opposite opinion of you and want to argue and complain and engage in online fights. So, for security's sake and sanity's sake, sometimes it's a better idea to not have a picture and a personal name as your Twitter account. Some people would even choose to have a totally secondary Twitter account, one for your personal, life, and then one for your activist life. And in an activist life, you're going to want to choose something that is, say, for example, a an image, an archetype, some sort of you know avatar which shows a little bit more about what you're after. So these people are choosing to hide their most personal data and still represent a cause while moving ahead with the second Twitter account. So that's an important point. The second thing is now you're going to have a limit of 2,000 followers. You're not going to be able to follow more than 2,000 followers until you get more than 2,000 people following you. I Alrighty, sorry about that interruption. So we've covered the difference between a personal account and your avatar and representing a cause rather than your person, than yourself and your personal information. The next important thing is how do you get a lot of followers fast? Now there are a couple of different ways I'm going to tell you how to do this. The first one is look at this pound BB lunch, or let's look a little bit further on down the road here. See if they're using this again. I'm betting that there are some other people who are using these. Let's look at the Recall Lasix account. Pound WISN, Pound Y Union. Now, what this is called is this is a hashtag. And if you want to begin to follow people who are interested in what you're interested in, this is what's known as a hashtag. People, if you click on this, this begins a search into, take a look up here, that just automatically propagates it up and starts a search in Twitter. And then every one of these people are all posting about stuff that relates to this particular hashtag, the pound sign, and then a keyword term. Now it's easy, especially on some Twitter um, following tools like TweetDeck and Hootsuite and some of the other things that I'll tell you about when you get more sophisticated and busy. You can set up an entire column, a whole lane that is going to constantly update with just these search terms based on what it is you tell it to do. So, you know, if you're an activist and you follow, say, animal rights, you can type that in as a search term and have a stream just constantly updating and telling you people who are talking about that using that keyword term. You can also use the hashtags. So this, you know, you can go along and click these images, and right over here it's going to allow you to follow or unfollow. So I tend to check these out. I happen to be following a lot of these people already. Chris Larson, you should know me. He should be following back. Anakin Skywalker. So you see what's going on here is it's easy to find people who are already interested in talking about what you're interested in by using a hashtag. Now here's an important point. Before you start on a tear following dozens of people, and you probably don't want to follow, say, more than 50 or 100 in a given day, what you do want to do is make sure that what you have on your page, let's look at Paul Segundas. All right, so Paul has, no, actually, let's look at, say, let's look at somebody else who's talking about this right now. All right, well, we'll go to the whole page. You want to make sure that you have filled up your basic first timeline stream of a good 10 to 15 interesting, valuable posts. And here you'll want to share some links to other resources that other people are going to like. You're going to share, you know, some personal things about yourself or your opinions. You're going to, what this is called is an RT. And somebody's doing this on purpose. Rather than clicking this down here, which gives you the option of retweeting it as it is exactly, this person cut and pasted it to say that. So that different types of people and followers can see that. We'll get more into that later. For most of the time, you can just click RT, and that will repeat somebody else's post that you find valuable and interesting. But if you want to make sure that it's visible to more people, you can just type the RT part in, and that changes the way it's displayed and who has access to that tweet. But the main point is, before you start following a bunch of people, make sure that you have something on your page which both says a little bit about you, where you're at, and all of the posts on your page, so that if people ever click through to see what it is you're talking about, why should I follow you? What is it that you're interested in, and will I be interested in the same thing? You've got to have something there kind of as bait and as a, you know, a representation of what it is they're getting in for. That's really important. The second thing I wanted to talk about is you can go over to this area here, and if besides using hashtags to find people that are interested in, there are two other ways to find people that are interested in the same thing you are. Now, if Paul were, he's very interested in labor law, discrimination law. This is going to be fairly technical stuff, and you can see he's got some politics in here, but as well, there's going to be a lot of stuff about the labor strife that's going on all over the country. Why don't we get back over to, say, Mary's is going to have a little bit more balanced. No, it's going to be all about Wisconsin too. Let's look. One of the things you can do is you can check out and see. Oh, hey, he was listed much more. So this Professor Paul is listed 120 times. Now you can create a list here, or no, you can create a list here, which allows you to start to gather people that are already talking about what it is you're interested in. You can make them keyword-based lists, and there's some really interesting list finding tools out there and list building tools out there. That gets a little sophisticated, but if you want to find people that are interesting, one of the fastest things you can do is once you find somebody that represents what it is you're interested in, check out their whole profile and see who, see what lists they belong to. Now, I've maxed mine out. I've got hundreds and hundreds of lists, so it may not work for me to follow this. And this is a known issue with Twitter with people who are really using lists a lot, that eventually it just kind of clogs. But I'm sure in the beginning, for your first 10, 20, or 50 lists, it should be pretty easy for you to just see what lists are following somebody and add them here. It seems I'm already following this one. I'm already following this progressive list. Some of these other lists I'm already following. Now, one of the things that you can check out is, we can take a look here, that this is a list that is following 50 people. Now you can follow the list, and in my case it won't let me, but you probably could. Or you can go to the list page and you can check on this, and this person has already aggregated a list of 50 people that represent this Wisconsin politics element of their list. So, I mean, this person's doing some curating and some information filtering for you, and you can go through and just go ahead and begin to follow personally the people on that list. You know, somebody else says, hey, these are people that are worthy of following, that are going to be, you know, potentially valuable resources. What this is doing, this is filling up your following count. You will end up following a lot of people this way, and you can be following people of a very targeted subject matter. But if you are getting close to your limit of number of people you can follow, remember I said you won't be able to follow more than 2,000 people in the beginning, you can just follow the list itself, and the list itself will present you with the tweets that other people on the list are talking. So you won't show up on these people's radar if you follow the list. They won't even know that you can see their tweets, but you can. But if you start to follow them, then you're, effectively very subtly reaching out and to these people and showing up on their radar. When they go to their home profile, they will be able to see who is following them, and they will be able to see, all right, do I want to follow this person? They're in Madison. Yeah. Do I want to follow this person? They're in Detroit. And he's basically, well, there is some good conversation going on in here, so I know he's not a robot. Well, it took a little bit deeper look here. He's sharing some interesting resources, so yeah, all right, maybe I'll go ahead and follow him. But, once you click on and begin following somebody, they will have this ability to see who is following me. And as well, you can go, and every once in a while you can just go and check, all right, I'm following all these people. Now that I've followed all these people, do I want to add them to a list that I've already created? Do I want to add Ron Kind to a list that I've already created? You can take a look here. When I click this open, this is a tool has created these lists for me, and this little lock by them shows that these lists are private and only I have access to what information is being gathered in that list. So you don't always have to share all of your curated knowledge. If you want to keep an eye on some subjects or some people, you can make that a private list. And but you'll find that a very valuable tool. The other thing that I like to suggest to people about if you want to find people that are interesting to follow, it's pretty likely that this Ron Kind might not be pruning his follower list. There could be almost anybody could follow him, and unless he's actively going through and blocking a lot of people, that could be pretty varied. But if he seems kind of like a very centered, all right, this person's in politics, or this person is all about trying to sell their printing or something. You can go and you can see who they are following. Who does Ron Kind think is a valuable person worthy, a valuable account worthy of following? And he's done some curating here. This is different than a list. This is an idea of what this person finds interesting. You can scroll all the way to the bottom, and pretty often, if somebody's new to Twitter, the bottom is where you're going to see their first people that they ever followed. And a lot of times those are just like celebrities, and that's where you realize that they started following like Ashton Kutcher or whatever. But he's following an awful lot. He's following Ways and Means Committee, Russ Feingold. I don't need these newspapers. Small Business Info might be a very decent one. Gwen Moore, she's a rock star who just totally grilled Governor Walker. So, and this is some valuable information. This person has done a fair amount of curating. Now, one thing that's interesting, I've clicked on this, and it's not showing here that I'm following them. That's just a bug in Twitter in this display. So sometimes you might think, well, am I following the state fair or not? What's going on? But you got to click over here and see. Yeah, Twitter is recognizing that I'm following them, but they haven't updated this list for me yet. So it doesn't always work here. Sometimes it is an instant thing. Say I don't want to follow UW-Madison Media. If I click on this, it's going to unfollow it immediately, or if I click on this, it's going to follow it immediately. But, Twitter is still a little bit buggy. It's getting a lot of users. It's growing very fast. And sometimes just don't be, Dave Weigel. Let's get back over there. Where's he? Oh, already following him. Okay. Anyway, so those are some tips. Follow the followers, follow the people that you like. And then if you want to look deeper, follow who they're following. And then if you want to know more, look into some of the lists and follow the broad list, follow the whole list. Or if you want to show up on the radar of the people that they have curated and organized and filtered out, and you want to be visible to them and have those people know you are following them, then go ahead and open up that list view and follow them personally, one by one. And remember, limit your following to not more than 100 or so a day. And then the other thing I want to tell people for sure, I really like to go through and check on, since I know some people will follow my followers and follow who I'm following. All right, Cambridge, Madison area. But say there are some people who may be following me that are just pure spam. Let's see what this Demetria here is doing. Okay. Well, she's talking about politics, so it's not a spam account. I've already actually filtered this out. But let's say, for example, jewelry passion. If I am not addicted to fine jewelry, antique and vintage jewelry, then I might actually want to actively block this. If I've clicked on this account, say for example, if I clicked on it and I see link, 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 Etsy, 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 buy for me, buy for me, buy for me, buy for me, that can be pretty lame and pretty antisocial and pretty spammy. So it's perfectly fine, and in fact probably a good idea, to go through your Twitter list and block people who seem just purely spamming, because you'll end up protecting your crowd, your crew of people who end up following you and decide to look into seeing who's following you and who you're following. So you're doing the community at large, and specifically your own little tribe, a favor by blocking out spammers. Take some time to do that. Thanks a lot. I hope this wasn't too long. I wanted to go over basically everything